Hi everyone, welcome to the Wednesday edition of Source 16 News. I'm Eddie Owen. Thanks for joining us. We now have a few more details of a story first reported last night at 10 regarding a police investigation into the death of a 3-year-old girl in Oak Grove. Police spokesman Lieutenant Adam Vanderkolk told Source 16 today that the father of the little girl told police that his daughter was taking a bath when she slipped in the bathtub and hit her head. Now, according to the report, Oak Grove police received a medical call Saturday morning around 10:45 for a 3-year-old girl that was unconscious and barely breathing. This was at a home on Pembroke Oak Grove Road. Emergency personnel transported the little girl to Blanchfield Army Community Hospital at Fort Campbell, and then she was airlifted to Vanderbilt Medical Center in Nashville, where she died the following morning. Lieutenant Vanderkolk said anytime a child dies, the police department conducts a death investigation. However, in this case, he says the father's story didn't add up. According to the lieutenant, Oak Grove detectives have met with the toddler's mother, who is stationed at Fort Knox. Currently, police are awaiting autopsy results from the state medical examiner's office in Nashville. At this time, police are withholding all names until all notifications have been made. A 21-year-old Clarksville man has died from injuries that he suffered when his motorcycle was hit by a vehicle yesterday afternoon. Joshua Higgs was life-flighted from the accident scene to Vanderbilt Medical Center, where police report that he passed away in the early morning hours this morning. Police say the accident occurred when a 29-year-old Woodlawn woman pulled out in front of Higgs' motorcycle as she was turning left off of Man of War Road and crossing the eastbound lanes of Tinytown Road. Higgs, who was wearing a helmet, was ejected off his motorcycle and landed on the roadway and suffered multiple injuries to his head and body. According to police, the 29-year-old woman was uninjured and cited for failure to yield. 2 Fort Campbell soldiers have been arrested and charged in connection to an armed robbery at a Clarksville pharmacy July 4th. Spokesman Officer Jim Knoll reports 26-year-old David Preston Saunders of Fort Campbell was arrested today after he was positively identified in a lineup as the suspect who robbed the Walgreens on Wilma Rudolph Boulevard at gunpoint on Independence Day. Saunders was charged with aggravated robbery and booked into the Montgomery County Jail on a $100,000 bond. In addition, police arrested and charged another local soldier, 22-year-old Casey Robert DeGroot, as an accessory after the fact in connection to the robbery at Walgreens after he admitted that he drove Saunders to the pharmacy. DeGroot was also booked into the Montgomery County Jail on a $100,000 bond. Police believe that Saunders is also the same man that may have been involved in 2 other pharmacy robberies in Clarksville over the July 4th holiday weekend, and they're continuing to investigate those cases. An Ohio County Sheriff's deputy has been suspended until an investigation is completed into allegations that he tried to beat to death an injured dog to end its suffering. Ohio County Sheriff David Thompson told us today that Deputy Randy Taylor has been suspended with pay until the prosecutor decides if he'll bring charges against him. Last week on June 28th, the Kentucky Transportation Road Crew were called about a dog that had been hit by a car on Highway 62 between Beaver Dam and McHenry. Once on the scene, the road crew alleged that Deputy Taylor tried to beat the dog to end its suffering. The road crew thought the dog was dead and buried it in a shallow grave, but the next day it was found alive, up and walking around. Sheriff Thompson says an internal and criminal investigation is being conducted to see if Deputy Taylor improperly handled the situation. He said that Taylor has been a deputy with the department for 5 years. A Montgomery County judge sentenced 2 Nashville men to 12 years in prison each for the November 2009 murder of a 25-year-old Special Forces sergeant. Montgomery County Judge John Gassaway sentenced 21-year-old Montez Hall and 21-year-old Frank Beasley for facilitation of second-degree murder and facilitation to commit attempted second-degree murder. On November 12, 2009, police report that Sergeant Brian Hasje was shot and killed when he was leaving a Fort Campbell club. A Hopkinsville business will be contracting with the U.S. Army to provide language assistance, according to the Department of Defense. Link Government Services, LLC, was awarded a $9.7 million contract to provide foreign language services in support of the Department of Defense Language Interpretation and Transition Enterprise Program. The bid was solicited online with 11 companies applying for the contract. According to the release, the work location will be determined with each task order, with an estimated completion date of June 27, 2016. Preliminary statistics indicate that 6 people died, including a Murray State University student, in 6 separate crashes on Kentucky's roadways during the official July 4th holiday weekend period. Kentucky State Police report 4 of the fatalities involved motor vehicle crashes in Callaway, Davies, Oldham, and Pike counties, and 2 of those victims were not wearing seat belts. State Police also report now that the fatal crash in Callaway County on Kentucky 94 connector that claimed the life of MSU student 19-year-old Mahed Balharath of Murray also involved the suspected use of alcohol. According to State Police, 2 crashes in Pike and Spencer County involved motorcycles. Both victims were wearing a helmet. Through July 4th, preliminary statistics indicate that 321 people have lost their lives on roads across the state this year. And speaking of wrecks, a 2-vehicle wreck on the Breathitt at Pennyrile Parkway earlier today injured a Hopkins County team. 18-year-old Stephen Kyle of Madisonville was transported to Regional Medical Center after state police say his vehicle was rear-ended when he didn't yield the right-of-way to a vehicle driven by 49-year-old Stephen Morris of Crofton. State police say Kyle entered the parkway at the Madisonville interchange and continued to cross both lanes of traffic, which caused Morris' vehicle to hit Kyle's vehicle in the rear. Police say Kyle's vehicle traveled off the road into the median, while Morris' vehicle came to rest in the emergency lane. Authorities report Morris was not injured in the wreck and both parties were wearing their seat belts. Meanwhile, 2 people were injured and sent to the hospital yesterday following a 2-vehicle wreck on Fort Campbell Boulevard near Interstate 24. Hopkinsville police say 52-year-old Diane Dodd of Clarksville was driving south on the boulevard when her vehicle rear-ended the truck of 43-year-old Gary Waggy of Verona, Virginia. Witnesses told police Dodd made no attempt to stop or slow down despite construction on the roadway. In addition, several witnesses stated the 52-year-old Clarksville woman was driving so fast that the rear end of her vehicle lifted several feet off the ground upon impact. Dodd and Waggy were both transported by ambulance to Jenny Stewart Medical Center for treatment. Hopkinsville teen learned the hard way that leaving the scene of an accident is a punishable offense. 18-year-old Brandon Ward was arrested and charged with leaving the scene of an accident, tampering with physical evidence, possession of synthetic cannabinoid, and drug paraphernalia. Hopkinsville police say officers were dispatched to an overturned van on Country Club Lane early this morning and found Ward walking away from the scene with a backpack, or where a backpack of synthetic cannabinoids and pipes were found. The 18-year-old admitted to police he placed the backpack in the bushes to avoid getting caught. In a story we reported last night at 10, a missing Marshall County teen has been located. Kentucky State Police Post 1 in Mayfield say they were notified by the Paducah City Police Department. They had found 18-year-old Chelsea Norred, who was reported missing last week. Police say Norred was supposed to board a bus bound to her parents' home in Missouri on Wednesday, but had not been seen since. State police say no foul play was involved. Well, the Hopkinsville City Council last night approved a resolution declaring official intent to reimburse temporary advances for capital expenditures for the city's proposed downtown project.
The resolution which was approved on the bonding for the downtown construction project is a measure that we undertake on a normal basis when we're anticipating a bond issue to pay for a major project, so that funding that we may spend on the project before the bonds are sold can be reimbursed out of the bond proceeds. So it's just a way to make sure that all of the cost of this construction project we will be able to finance through the municipal bond issue.
In other action, the council authorized the mayor to apply for a justice grant to help fund the city's struggling juvenile drug court program since state funding has been cut. The deadline to apply for the 2011-12 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant is July 15th, and it's worth over $21,000. In other business, the council approved an agreement between the city and the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority to provide loan funds to wastewater improvements.
Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority has received loan funds from the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority to do a large amount of sewer improvement work and sewer expansion work in Hopkinsville. It'll go a long way toward curing some of the problems that we've had with old sewer lines that need to be replaced because stormwater filters into them. So that's the purpose of this project. It's been previously approved by the council, and this was just a resolution tonight to allow us to complete the paperwork.
Meanwhile, council members voted 8-2 to adopt the city's inner-city res program's $500,000 budget, with Councilwoman Marby Schlegel and Councilman Jimmy Dossett voting no. Council members Fred Atkins and Ann Cherry were absent from last night's meeting. Here's Hopkinsville Christian County Crime Stoppers Coordinator Officer Paul Ray with our featured fugitives of the week.
This week, police need your help locating 2 wanted fugitives.
Police are looking for 50-year-old Shelby Robert Edmonds, who's wanted for probation violation. Edmonds is a black male who stands 6 feet tall and weighs 220 pounds. His last known address was the 2400 block of Canton Street. Police are also looking for 28-year-old Tommy David Powers, who's wanted on multiple felony charges. Powers is a white male who stands 6 feet, 4 inches tall and weighs 300 pounds. His last known address was the 400 block of Cave Street.
If you know where police can locate these wanted fugitives, and we've got cash waiting for you, pick up your phone now and call our tips line at 887-TIPS. If your information leads to an arrest, Crime Stoppers will pay you a cash reward. And remember, we will never ask your name, and you will not have to appear in court. Well, this week's Fugitive of the Week, I'm Officer Paul Ray for Crime Stoppers.